News out of the Middle East, relief and celebration across Israel and Gaza after Hamas released the last 20 living Israeli hostages under a U.S. brokered ceasefire deal. In return, Israel freed nearly 2,000 Palestinian detainees back into Judea and Samaria. Joining me now is Washington Stand reporter Casey Harper, who has been following today's main stories. Casey, can you bring us up to speed on the latest out of the Middle East?
Yeah, Tony. The Israeli military confirmed it has received all of the living hostages, and Hamas also handed over the remains of 4 who tragically died in captivity, with more expected to follow. In a speech at the Knesset, President Trump, he hailed the peace deal for Gaza.
This is not only the end of a war, this is the end of an age of terror and death and the beginning of the age of faith and hope and of God. I believe that so strongly. This is the historic dawn of a new Middle East.
After his speech at the Knesset, President Trump traveled to Egypt for an international peace summit. While there, he signed the Gaza ceasefire deal on camera alongside leaders of Muslim nations and European allies, Tony.
Now, Casey, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not attend the summit in Egypt. How did he respond to the peace deal?
Yeah, Tony. Well, President Trump, he called it a monumental moment in the history of the world, and he laid out this bold vision for Gaza's reconstruction. But Prime Minister Netanyahu, he's more measured in his response. Now, as for his attendance, he reportedly did not go to Egypt due to opposition from the Turkish president, who reportedly didn't want him there, which is an interesting development. But speaking alongside Trump at the Knesset, Netanyahu, he reaffirmed Israel's commitment to peace.
A proposal that opens the door to an historic expansion of peace in our region and beyond our region. My friends, this is only a partial list.
Now, Netanyahu, he's consistently insisted that Hamas must be dismantled and fully disarmed, and he did not endorse that broader reconstruction plan that Trump laid out for Gaza. So it seems, Tony, that Hamas is actually moving to regain control in Gaza, which is pretty troubling. They have masked fighters back on the streets today, and key questions remain. Is Israel going to fully withdraw? Who's going to run Gaza? And will Hamas ever disarm?
Yeah, a lot of big questions there, Casey. Thanks so much. Of course, we welcome the release of the hostages, which is an answer to our prayers. And here at FRC, we've been praying for this, like everyone else, for a little over 2 years. And of course, you know, we've got to continue to pray for Israel, because I think the most challenging phase of the ceasefire deal lies ahead, because there's no guarantee. And as you pointed out, it doesn't look like Hamas is making any effort to disarm or give up control. Turning to the growing persecution of the church in China, Casey, what can you tell us about the latest campaign by the Chinese Communist Party that unfolded over the weekend?
Yeah, this is a big issue, Tony. So in China, over 30 Christian pastors and leaders have actually been arrested or disappeared. Many are from the Zion Church. Now, their homes and churches were raided, Bibles were taken, and families were threatened. Why? Because they chose to worship freely without the Chinese government's control. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, he condemned the arrests, including that of Pastor Ezra Jin, and he's calling for their immediate release. Christian organizations, including China Aid, call this the worst crackdown in decades. And of course, it's ongoing that China is using surveillance and false charges to silence believers like these, Tony.
Thanks, Casey. Dr. Bob Fu is a senior fellow here at the Family Research Council, as well as president of China Aid, and he's strongly condemned the Chinese Communist Party's ongoing attacks against the church. And I want to emphasize that FRC continues to raise the alarm about the persecution of Christians in China. We have been, we continue to do so, but not only in China, elsewhere. We've been talking to lawmakers on Capitol Hill about this consistently, and we have a responsibility as Christians to pray for our persecuted brothers and sisters. So it's not just a policy issue, it is a prayer issue. As Hebrews 13:3 reminds us, remember those in prison as if you were together with them, and those who are mistreated as if you yourselves were suffering. So pray for those Christian brothers and sisters of ours who are being persecuted. I want to shift very quickly, Casey, to California, where a controversial new law is raising concerns. We've talked about it before. Give us the update on AB 495.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. So this new California law, AB 495, it's raising major concerns among Christian and homeschooling families and others as well. But Governor Gavin Newsom, he announced yesterday that he actually signed that law just days after it passed the state legislature. And this bill, it could allow relatives, even unrelated adults actually, to make major decisions about a child's education and medical care without clear parental consent. Now, Christian organizations, they're warning and raising the alarm, Tony, that this actually undermines parental rights and opens the door for government overreach.
All right, thanks, Casey. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Thanks so much.